Welcome back. I forgot to say in the first video, the channel has a name now. It's now called The Heresy Junkie, instead of insert name here. So this is the bit that this video I suppose is the video that most people have asked for, which is how I paint black armour. And it's really easy to say, oh, I use this and this, but actually it's not that obvious. So this black is Chaos Black Spray. So it's Chaos Black undercoat. In the last video, I did all metal work on it. And now I'm going to do the black edge highlights. The colours I use for this is the greatest black in the world. I use this for touching up. So for where I've got my like metal bits where it shouldn't be because of through the highlighting and rushing, or just general bit areas that you need to touch up. Like there's a part under there that the spray didn't quite get. I find this black amazing. It's really good. Give it a massive shake. It's brilliant. So that's the black that I would use. So it is by and large Chaos Black, but I use this as a touch up, which matches up quite nicely. It's not exactly the same, but you'll find out at the end of this video why that doesn't matter because of the varnish that I use. So I'll put that there. And my highlights is a two-stage highlight. So it's an edge highlight of Dark Reaper and then a top edge highlight of Fenrisian Grey. I'm not going to edge highlight the entire model in this video because it'll just be boring watching it. But I'll do like a leg, and I'll basically do one side of the model so you can see how I do it. And then I'll finish doing it off camera before the next video where I show you the eye lenses and reds and various things like that. And so I better get into it. Apologies, I said in the last video, it's really hard to paint. I've got my phone in between me and the model, so I'm kind of trying to lean over the phone to see it. So again, most of this will be done with my trusty series, Winsor & Newton Series 7, size 1 brush, a brush I've owned for a long time and know very, very well. I don't thin my paints at all. I probably should, but I don't. So I get a little bit of paint, and you can see on like the bit of card that I use here, oh, that was wet metal from earlier. I end up just having lines of colour because I just wipe it off the brush until there's not a lot of paint left on it. So start with something like a nice easy place to start usually is the shoulder pads because they've got really defined edges, and you can see there actually all the areas that weren't caught by the black spray. And I just run the brush over the edge with the flat side of the brush, picking it up in that Dark Reaper colour. And apologies again, you're going to keep getting my heavy breathing going on through this. These bits here where the metal was showing through, it's fine because the Dark Reaper is going to go straight over the top of it. You want to try and keep it as thin as you can, but it doesn't matter if it's thicker than this. Like when I first started edge highlighting, my lines were really thick, and it comes with time. You learn how much paint to have on the brush, how much contact to have between the brush and the model. And I find myself, I'm a brush licker. I'm sure many painters out there are as well. So I'm glad these paints are non-toxic, or I certainly hope they're not. I'm trying to keep it in shot and see what I'm doing at the same time. I don't use painting handles. I don't care if I touch the model. These are gaming pieces at the end of the day. They're not display pieces. So, and I don't normally sort of have the model up in the air like this. I normally have it like with my hands resting on the table, but I can't do that. So again, this is a paintbrush that I trust and I know what it's going to do. So you might look at it and go, oh, I know with friends when I've been painting in club, they're just like, how do you just do that? I said, it's just practice. It comes with time that you learn where the paint's going. And you learn as well what you can get away with when it goes too thick in places. So I will often neaten up areas afterwards if needs be. And sometimes I don't. Sometimes I think, oh, I need to neaten up that area. And actually, you don't need to neaten up the area at all. You also don't need to highlight every edge, by the way. This is just picking out the ones that are going to be obvious. So like the line that's under the helmet there, pick that out. And it doesn't matter if you miss a bit, because you can realise often when you finish the model, you can go, oh, I should have highlighted there. So I'm just going to do these shoulder pads. And this Mark 6 pad here is really lends itself to this edge highlighting style because it's a really nice new plastic kit with really defined edges. So whilst there's more edges to highlight than there would be in, say, a Mark III or Mark II, which is my preferred Armour, it takes less time. The edge highlighting takes a lot less time than, well, for me, it takes a lot less time than it does to, say, line a model like metal trim. Which, again, there's lots of tricks you can use with that. I've seen people using paint pens recently, which I think is genius. Got to try and talk a bit softer because I'm right next to the microphone. So, God, I've never painted from this far away from the model before. I've normally got it stuck under my nose, like some kind of short-sighted womble. I don't know why I used a womble as an analogy there. I think it's probably because of the beakies. Beakies make me think of wombles. You notice I've not touched the head yet. That's because with that one I kind of not so much edge highlight as literally freehand the lines on, because it's so much smaller and like it's a focal point of the model, the head. So it's so important that you get the edge highlighting right on that. I'm going to stop in a minute. I'm going to just do these pads and these arms, and I'll do the rest of it off camera, just because we're going to be here for ages otherwise, and this cannot be the most enjoyable thing to watch because you are literally watching paint dry. With hands, I tend to do just the top edge going into the fingers, and then like this leading edge here of the fist armour. I have to say, I didn't want Mark 6s, but these are really nice to paint. I tend to be a bit thicker on the fingers as well. Like I'll end up painting the whole finger Dark Reaper just because it's more pronounced, then it's more obvious. So you can see I can just run it across those fingers there, and then all those fingers become Dark Reaper, but they're still black in the recesses. And when I put the Fenrisian Grey in, that'll sort of separate it out. So I originally planned to trade all my Mark 6s away out of this box for other things, and I built one and I was like, okay, I think I'm going to get all 40 of these done because they're just really nice to paint. And it's like, it's pulling on my retro needs. I've got a bit of a Heresy, so that's a lot thicker than I would normally do, but I think it'll work on this armour, and that's just terrible. Right, so that's, you can see I've just highlighted these arms and the edges of the shoulder pads. So I'm going to swap now over to the Fenrisian Grey, which is the top highlight, and this one you need to be much more careful with and much more sparing with it. If you do it too much, you'll end up looking like Tron, and that might be how you want it to look, but I don't. So I've got my Fenrisian Grey, so just like I did with that, and this one I wipe even more off, so it's almost like a dry brush. So this Fenrisian Grey only wants to go on the very top edges, so this pad here is facing up, so it's going to catch the light. So you can see as I draw it across, I will keep the Fenrisian Grey on there, and then this sort of front edge here, connect it up and kind of fade it away. So it's almost like a blended highlight, but it isn't because it's not blended. Or is it? I don't know. The collar, the gorget here, that's going to have some on. I haven't actually checked if this is actually in camera shot as well. You might have just had a video of my fingers moving and not actually see a model, so that'll be interesting to see at the end, because I'm not filming it twice. One take, that's all I'm doing. Someone actually said, oh, you should do outtake videos. No, I don't have any outtakes. The outtakes are the videos. So there's going to be a bit of neatening up there. And then onto the hands. And I'm going to change brushes now because I want more control. So he says his hand's shaped like. So here, I'm going to try and paint in. So actually I've still got too much on there. So again, the tips of those fingers, leading edges if need to be. It doesn't, again, it doesn't matter if it's a bit messy the first time you do it, or always think in the back of your head, army effect. I'm not painting this model to win any awards. I just want to be happy with it, and this will look really cool when it's replicated over a full army. And I've slowed it right down here. If I was painting this for myself now off camera, this would be finished, because I go a lot faster when I'm not trying to paint between a phone and myself. That's not gone well. I think next time leave painting videos to the professionals. See, I've got that sort of V line now, and you'll build this up across the whole model, but you'll do it quicker because you'll get better at it, as we all do. Everything you think about, everything you've learned to do painting wise, you do get better, you do get faster, you find out things that you don't need to do, or things that you could have done better next time. This is where I could go now to perfectly. So I can show you, actually, there's a really good example of why I'd touch up. So get a bit of the black, because I kind of ham-fisted it there. I said I'm going to make these really quick videos, and this is 12 minutes of me doing almost nothing. So in here, it's gone in between, and I don't want that, so with a bit of black now. Just going to correct that, because that's going to annoy me. So I'm going to stop the video there. I'm going to finish this off, and then in the next video when I come in to do the lenses, you'll see it fully highlighted. See you in the next one.